Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and I hope you had a great Christmas. And of course, New Year is rushing up. Tomorrow, of course, is New Year's Eve, and I hope you didn't eat too much, and I hope that, Santa was good to you. And I'm sure that an awful lot of those presents that Santa brought came via online purchasing. And so online purchasing is a very interesting concept, and it's not the first time this has been tried. This is just more of a high-tech version of this. Sears and Eaton's, of course, used to do deliveries from a sort of central warehousing system, central planning, which is the old style of doing things, and a hierarchical structure of management. And so all of the factories and handlers and so on and so forth would get all of the goods to the central warehouse, and then that central warehouse would deliver out to stores, and people would go into the stores and of course buy the goods. And of course Sears and Eaton's have both collapsed, and not the least of which is because of the incredibly high cost of delivering stuff. Now Amazon.com is definitely a leader in this, and of course they have built their business on the ground up, to suit this whole, bringing stuff into central processing areas. They've modernized it, robotics have become involved, so they really have pared back the costs incredibly, but they still have to deliver. Now, of course, Amazon have very cleverly, they take over the delivery because they have their own delivery service, but they basically do the big deliveries from their centers to the major centers, and then independents pick up those packages and take them on to the last mile, as they call it. And of course that is the most expensive, especially once you start getting out of the city into the suburbs, the urban areas, and the more rural areas. The cost of maintenance on vehicles, the gas, the time of the driver, all of this kind of stuff has to be taken into consideration. And I actually at one time did deliver rural mail, and I can tell you it is very easy to underestimate the cost of maintaining your vehicle. So I've wondered for some time how long this is going to continue, how long Amazon can keep this up, and whether this is indeed a ploy, because everyone, like every business now, whether it is Walmart, Evergreen, it doesn't matter, Radio Shack, well no, Radio Shack's not here, it's the source now, but orders over $50 and they will deliver free. Staples, Best Buy, you name it. So they're all trying to keep up with Amazon.com. Now, of course, one of the big benefits of online selling is that you don't have to maintain a bricks and mortar presence, and of course that is hugely expensive. And so it's very tempting to want to go online. But these bigger businesses, they're doing both things. They're maintaining an online presence, and they're maintaining a bricks and mortar and staff situation, full staff situation. And so this is incredibly expensive, and I'm wondering if that's what's actually taking place behind the scenes, is that Amazon is quietly basically subsidizing their trucking, their shipping part of the business, and making it look like it's an incredibly profitable way to do business. But if you start adding in all of those shipping costs, the real cost of doing business, but of course, what will eventually happen is that Amazon and maybe a couple of other companies will be the only businesses in town, and they will control just about all of the goods that move on the surface of this planet. So what this is effectively doing in many ways is putting out mom and pop stores, these smaller businesses, and pretty soon you'll find that the whole retail sector is just going to dry up. And this is going to present some very interesting problems, and not the least of which is, what are these people going to do? Where are they going to work? Where are they going to earn money? How are they going to pay their bills? Nobody's really thought of how that is going to work with all of these jobs that are being eliminated. And of course, one of the bigger side issues of this whole situation is the sociological issue, and that is because sales are up around about 18%. I'm just going to read you a brief letter, or a brief article, sorry, that I found on Zero Hedge that's talking about the increase in the use of online shopping via credit cards and so on and so forth. But what this means is that more and more and more people are sitting down at 10:30 in the evening or so with a glass of wine, with their credit card out, and they're basically scrolling and surfing through all of these different websites that you can purchase things from, and making purchases in isolation. The only decision making people that are there is the purchaser themselves and the seller. And of course the seller is automated. You're looking at pictures, you're looking at write-ups and all of this kind of stuff. And all of the places that we used to go to, whether it be the greengrocer, the supermarket, the thrift stores, the clothing stores, you name it, wherever we used to go shopping, we used to meet people. We would sit and have coffee in coffee shops. There would be conversations taking place. There'd be discussions about what you were thinking of purchasing, what you didn't purchase, why you didn't purchase it, what you think of the stores that you've been visiting, the sales help, the quality of goods, so on and so forth. Maybe discussing politics, the cost of goods, why there are cost increases, and so on and so forth. All of these things, these are the small everyday things that go to make up community and society. And if we're shopping in isolation, and we get to the point where there are only 2 or 3 companies like Amazon and Alibaba who are dealing with all of the sales, and anything else that has to be sold has to jump onto the internet bandwagon, because it just isn't going to fly. So we as individuals, as citizens, we are becoming more and more isolated and receiving more and more of our information directly and only from the computer, from the internet. And of course, as we all know, that can be tampered with now. We're not certain whether the information that you're getting off the internet is good information, because you're not seeing all of the information. Google, YouTube, Twitter, all of these organizations, they're now filtering by what they deem to be good information. And who are they to decide? Do we know these as people? Do we know how they're going to react? Would we like them? Would we not like them? These are sort of mysterious, secretive people who live in cubicles and top floors, penthouse suites of office blocks, making all of the decisions that affect all of us, and yet they don't have to lead our lives. And so here we are in isolation, not able to discuss all of these issues. Isn't it a great way to be able to govern people? Isn't it a great way to keep people completely away from talking about issues? Because after a while, if you don't practice communication, you can't communicate, or it's difficult, it stumbles. You have to work on conversation. A little bit of give and take. You say something, the other person says something. It sparks something in your mind. You add a little piece of the conversation, and so the conversation grows. It doesn't end up where it began. And this takes human contact. It takes practice. And if you're talking only to the computer, and if you're watching only mass-produced media, these people are telling you how you should be behaving in the roles that they're playing out in the scenes and the movies and plays and so on and so forth. And of course that is dependent on the writer and the style of the writer. So maybe you can see how complicated this is, and what a far-reaching effect the isolation of online shopping could bring into our lives. And because this is not just one area. We're not just looking at shopping, we're looking at emailing, we're looking at paying bills. The only thing you can't do on a computer, of course, is have a coffee. But maybe you'll buy, a coffee maker for home and have your coffee there. Maybe we'll be limited to saying hi to people on the street, but we want to drive everywhere. So these are going to be some interesting long-term knock-on effects of online shopping and our whole online life, and how we react, respond and interact with our fellow human beings on this planet. Okay, well, let's just pop over and I'll read this quick article, and then we'll come back and I'll do a wrap up. Okie dokie, here we go. And this from Zero Hedge. The decade's final holiday shopping season proved e-commerce dominates. And this is submitted by Market Crumbs. As the last holiday shopping season of the decade is now in the books, we are getting a clearer picture of how retailers fared during the busiest shopping season of the year. Holiday retail sales rose 3.4% compared to 2018, according to MasterCard Spending Pulse, which tracks spending in MasterCard's payments network while estimating cash and other payment forms from November 1st through December 24th. Not surprisingly, online sales grew at a much quicker pace, increasing 18.8% compared to 2018. E-commerce sales accounted for 14.6% of total retail sales during this year's holiday shopping season. E-commerce sales hit a record high this year, with more people doing their holiday shopping online, said Steve Sadove, Senior Advisor for MasterCard. Due to a later than usual Thanksgiving holiday, we saw retailers offering omni-channel sales earlier in the season, meeting consumers' demands for the best deals across all channels and devices. The growth in online sales this holiday season is hardly surprising. Market Crumbs previously detailed how Black Friday is becoming irrelevant as shoppers increasingly prefer to shop online. Black Friday shoppers spent $7.4 billion online this year, an increase of 19.6% from 2018. The total made it the second largest online shopping day in US history, behind this year's Cyber Monday, when shoppers spent a record $9.4 billion, an increase of nearly 20% from 2018 Cyber Monday. The ease of shopping online is even turning Thanksgiving into a popular shopping day. Online sales on Thanksgiving reached $4.2 billion, marking the first time online sales on Thanksgiving surpassed $4 billion. The total marks a 14.5% increase from Thanksgiving of last year. Comparing year-over-year overall sales growth to online sales growth in various segments shows just how much consumer shopping preferences have changed compared to the beginning of the decade. The jewelry sector saw overall sales growth of 1.8%, with online jewelry sales increasing by 8.8%. Department stores saw an overall sales decline of 1.8%, while their online sales increased by 6.9%. Overall, electronic sales increased by 4.6%, as online electronic sales increased by 10.7%. Along with the rise in online shopping comes an increase in returns. UPS expects to process 1.9 million returns, an increase of 26% from last year, and the seventh consecutive annual record. This process is a change from years past, when consumers would rush to physical retailers the day after Christmas and stand in long lines to make returns, UPS said in a statement. The death of brick-and-mortar retailers, commonly referred to as the retail apocalypse, has been a theme for the better part of this decade, as countless retailers have closed thousands of stores. The next decade should see a continuation of this trend and possibly even see it get worse. And here's a little article I found from MoneyWise. These chain stores have announced a ton of store closings in 2019. The bankruptcies and going out of business sales reached new heights in 2019. It has seemed like going out of business sales are around every corner. There's a startling reason. Forever 21, Walgreens, Dress Barn, GameStop, Gap and other chains shut down more than 9,300 stores in 2019, making it the biggest year ever for store closings. That's according to Coresight Research, which says closures jumped about 60% from the 5,844 the firm tracked in 2018. And you think that's bad? As online shopping continues to grow, another 75,000 stores could be lost by 2026. Now that is only 7 years away, and that's from investment bank UBS. And this from CNBC. Gap, Tesla and Victoria's Secret are among the nearly 5,000 store closings already in 2019. And that was in March of 2019. Now, whether we're going to continue communicating with each other as a species is still a big question mark up in the air, whether it will be full communication or limited communication. But one of the side effects I think we can certainly guarantee is the loss of work. And this is absolutely huge because, you know, again, the knock-on effects, I don't think we quite realize as a society how interconnected we are. So, for example, every one real job creates 4 more jobs. That's 5 people depending on one full-time manufacturing job, a well-paying job. I'm talking jobs that pay in the region of $32 to $35 an hour. And so that is quite a network of people who are being supported. So when you look at Oshawa, where GM has just closed, Oshawa is set to become a ghost town over the next 5 years unless it can find some kind of other well-paying manufacturing process to take place there, or some other kind of process. Maybe it won't be manufacturing, but the jobs have to be well-paying jobs, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of well-paying jobs. It seems to be a race to the bottom. Look at all the part-time jobs that are being created. But when people start losing their homes, a home is probably one of the largest single economic generators in our society. When you own a home, the money that you will spend on decorating, on maintenance, on beautification, on upgrades, additions, this kind of stuff, decks, gardens, lawns, it's just absolutely endless. And of course people, because they have pride of ownership, they work very, very hard. A lot of extra cashola goes into running your home and keeping it looking decent. And so who are all the people who produce all of those things that keep your home looking decent? All the workmen, all the tradespeople, the people building homes. If there's a lot of homes on the market, where are those people going to be building homes? There's so many long-term effects that we're not addressing here. We're rushing headlong into this whole online selling business model. And again, we're not absolutely certain if this is being subsidized, so it gives the appearance of a sustainable model, because if it's not a sustainable model, we're done for. These smaller operations, these mom and pop retail operations, once they're gone, they're not coming back, because usually these businesses just drag themselves out, hanging on to the last minute, hoping that business is going to come back. And of course, when it doesn't, that's it, they're done. The business is gone. All of the goods are sold online, and so we have a glut of goods coming on to the online market, which again tends to distort the price. And then they foreclose on their home. Then there's a glut of homes on the market. It's just endless. There is no good outcomes when you look at somebody losing their job or losing their home. And of course, these are all service-based jobs. These are not manufacturing jobs. The manufacturing jobs were good, solid-based jobs. And they've left this country now. Whether we can turn Canada around as a country, who knows? But in the meantime, if we continue down this path without due regard for the consequences, I think we're going to find ourselves in a box canyon and wondering what the heck we can do, and not too many resources and reserves to pull us back out of that box canyon. So I think we should move forward with caution on this. Yes, I love online shopping, especially for things, these off the wall, one of a kind of things that you're just not going to find in any retail operation, because it's just 5 people in 10 years might come in and ask for that particular part. No business is going to stock that. And so online is great for niche goods, things that are unavailable in your country. Brilliant. But as an overall sales model for your country, that is a big question mark, and we will be finding out, no doubt, because you can see the way it's going. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below, and I really would like to read what you have to say about this whole issue, because it's a conundrum that is facing us right now, and I don't think we have any clear answers as to which is the best direction or how we can stop this juggernaut from moving ahead. Anyway, in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we will talk very, very shortly. You take care now. See ya. Bye.